Hey, footy fans, welcome to the Point of Difference Rugby League podcast. I'm your host, Dave, and today I've got a superstar guest on the show. We've got one of the most loved and cherished, most toughest Warriors players of all time. It's the one and only Kevin Campion. How you going, mate?
Good, Dave. How are you, mate? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, mate, it's a pleasure for me to have you on. I know heaps of people have been looking forward to this one, particularly myself. Massive Warriors fan from the time you were at the Warriors, and I went to every home game. God damn, I can't believe I'm talking to you. To be fair, so yeah, cheers heaps for coming on. So I hear you've been sunning yourself in Bali for the last little while. What was it like over there, man?
But it was good. Yeah, we get over a couple of times a year just to get away and have a bit of a break. I've got a great mate who I started my career with, Jamie Goddard on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, true.
We travelled together, his family and a couple of his family friends as well. So, yeah, it's good. It's a good time away just to get away, put the feet up, just relax and enjoy Bali. It's such a beautiful place.
I definitely need to get myself over there one day. I'm yet to go, but I'll get there. So, mate, what about the Warriors? Round one, they sort of got off to a good start. Did you watch the game at all?
Mate, I did watch the game. Yeah, look, it was basically a game of two halves. I think that try before half time sort of rocked us a bit. And look, we played well. Look, we played it well enough to win the game, but I think the difference was Cronulla wanted it more in the end, and they defended better than us in the last 20 minutes. We were under pressure, and I think that pressure got to us. Yeah, but look, it's first round of the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't. It's not where you start; it's where you finish. So, look, certainly, I think we'll bounce back this week.
Nice, mate. Nice. Pretty tough ask. Got Melbourne in Melbourne. Boys are going to have to really get up for that one, but I think they can do it.
Yeah, look, I think we've got a pretty good record against Melbourne over a period of time. So, yeah, look, it's going to be a great game. They started the season well, having a victory over Penrith. So, yeah, look, it's up to us how we play, how we bounce back, and look, if we do the little things right, and compete hard, I think we put ourselves in for a good chance.
Yeah, man. Right. So, what have you been up to post footy? Are you still the Warriors ambassador these days?
Yeah, man, I'm still doing the Warriors ambassadorship and really enjoy that sort of role. Do more so over in Australia here, the Magic Round is obviously a big weekend for everyone, especially the Warriors. They've got a great support base up here in Queensland. Um, but in saying that, all over the world now, so which
Yeah.
is great. Up the wires. Yeah, look, I post footy. I've got a commercial cleaning business and a industrial waterproofing business that I sort of take care of these days, and keeps me out of trouble. Keeps me fed with a roof over my head.
That's the one, man. Oh, awesome. Must be great to have your own business, sort of be your own boss. That's living the dream, man. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you think it's living the dream, but can get tough. Depends who you employ. I've got my young fella working with me at the moment, so he's keeping me on my toes, which is great. Yeah, it's just look, it's a good business. Both are good businesses, and look, I really enjoy my work.
Man, loving it. Right, let's turn back the clock. Kevin Campion, where'd you grow up? What was life like for you as a young fella growing up in Queensland?
Oh, look, I grew up in North Queensland, a little town south of Mackay called Sarina. It's a well-known rugby league sort of uh, breeding zone, I guess. There's players like Martin Bella and Dale Shear and Wendell Sala. I think Darley Sherry Evans from around the region. We got um, young fella from the North Queensland Cowboys, Reuben Cotter, who's just
Yeah.
outside of Sarina. So look, it's been a great breeding ground for rugby league players over a number of years. And yeah, look, I started playing soccer when I was about 7, and all my mates started playing rugby league in under nines, and mum sort of wouldn't let me play, but she sort of convinced her to let us play. I think it was peer pressure more than anything, and started playing in the under 10. So yeah, look, I love my junior league. Played for the Sarina Crocodiles, as they were called, and I went right through the grades. and won a couple of premierships in A grade in 89, 90 and 91. So yeah, which was a bit of a highlight. From there, I made the Foley Shield final side, which I played for the Mackay region, represented Mackay,
Okay.
and we beat Cairns in the 91 Foley Shield grand final, which is a pretty prestigious competition back in the day. Not much now. Sort of dwindled off a bit because of the Cowboys. But yeah, look, sort of basically started making a bit of a name for myself. Had the opportunity to go down and trial at Western Suburbs down in Sydney.
Really?
And yeah, look, I busted down and busted back and made the squad. But it just didn't feel right. Sydney was, I was a country boy from a little town of 3,000 people, and Sydney was a bit overwhelming for me. So I had an opportunity to go to the Gold Coast. Grant Bell, who was the North Queensland development manager up there, he was just appointed the under-21s coach at Seagulls, and so I ventured there. And unbeknownst to me, on the day that I arrived, Jamie Goddard arrived at the same time. So we spent the first 3 or 4 months living together, which was a bit of an eye opener for both of us. Him being from Mount Isa and me from Sarina, we just thought Tweed Heads was a thriving metropolis, but it was probably no bigger than Mount Isa back in the day. So yeah, look, we've forged a great bond over the years, and I just said that we just finished travelling together over in Bali, so that's how long we've known each other.
He's a bit of a gun, old Jamie Goddard. He ended up at the North Sydney Bears, didn't he?
He, when the Seagulls folded, they obviously started up the Gold Coast Chargers. I think
That's
he was
right.
captain of that side, and then he probably knew that they were going to fold, so he got signed with the North Sydney Bears and then the Northern Eagles. And I'm
Yes.
not sure if he played with Manly when they sort of took over, but yeah, look, we've been great mates. I'm godfather of 2 of his kids, and yeah,
Nice.
we've had some funny times together.
I bet you have. I bet you have. So, what was it like for you rocking up to Gold Coast? You've not played, New South Wales Rugby League at the time. You walk in, there's Wally Lewis as your coach. You got Brent Todd,
Yeah.
legend, Dale Shearer, Wayne Bartram, Steve Jackson. Like, what were your thoughts, as the new kid on the block rocking into training?
Well, we sort of didn't really know much about the Gold Coast Seagulls. It was all the Brisbane Broncos. They came in the same year, and we obviously
Yeah.
followed the Brisbane Broncos. So ideally, we would have loved to have gone to a club like that, but wasn't to be. But the opportunity was great. Look, and there was an opportunity to play um, first grade, which made it a lot more, a lot more easier for us. Not easier, but you know what I mean. If we were going to the Brisbane Broncos, there was a star-studded team that you probably couldn't break into that side. But look, we trained hard. Jamie was a bit of a fitness fanatic, and we used to run to training and run home from training. And
Yeah.
look, we just knuckled down. He had a newborn baby with a beautiful partner. So he really had to knuckle down. It was sort of there was nothing else really going. So he had to make it, and which he did. So I'm very proud of that. Yeah, look, I just followed his lead, tried to keep as fit as he did, and yeah, things worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you do for training, like outside of the club in terms of training, like to make sure you could make the side? Because your contract where you were on like match payments, or you had to play a certain amount of games to get paid and things like
Yeah,
that back then.
yeah, it wasn't big money. Under 21s was obviously the lowest paid in the club. So I think I was on about a $1,500 sign on, a contract, and I had to play 20 games to get that $1,500. So
You're kidding.
no, I thought I was working another job as well. I was working on the council full time. So
Okay.
obviously going to work at 6 in the morning, getting over at 3, and then going to training. I think we only trained Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays back then. We had some gym sessions that we had to, which weren't optional at the time, that we could go to if we wanted to. it was sort of frowned upon if you didn't go to them. But yeah, look, if you got the opportunity to go, it was obviously a benefit for you as a player. Um, yeah, but it was strange. You know, it wasn't professional. Definitely semi-professional. We had a lot of good drinkers at the club, and a lot of the boys, you know, went out most nights of the week, and that's just
Yeah,
how it
well,
was. Yeah, when you say, you know, the quality of players that we had there, you know, Wally Lewis obviously was, you know, was just, you know, I mean, when we rocked up, we both looked at each other. We didn't know Wally was the coach. I
really.
didn't even know he played for the Seagulls at that time. I thought he was still playing for the Broncos.
That's
Um,
crazy.
but yeah, look, you know, Dale Shearer, who I knew from Sarina, he was married to my cousin, which made it a lot easier. But I didn't even know Dale was there either. I think
Oh,
he left. I think he left Brisbane in '91, and then just came down to the Gold Coast under Wally in '92. So yeah, I think that was his first year there. So it was a surprise for me, but a great surprise because
yeah,
you know, Dale and I had a very good bond, and he used to take me back to his place and spend time with my cousin Delise, and yeah, so that sort of made it a lot easier for me, being, you know, just a young kid, a bit homesick as well.
yeah,
And other players, we had some terrific players. Peter Gill, Ray Herring, who was from the Broncos.
yes,
As you mentioned, Steve Jackson and Brent Todd.
yeah.
Just great,
Tony.
just great characters of the game. And I know I'm still great mates with all of those fellas. And
Yeah,
one bloke that really took us under his wing was Ray Herring. He was obviously a, you know, very skillful player, but he worked hard on his fitness and didn't take any shortcuts. So he, you know, we learned some great lessons from him.
beautiful. So, how did you enjoy your time there that first season? Because I think you guys only had one win. And I remember watching an interview with you years ago, like we're talking years ago, where you said something like, what's the difference between the Gold Coast Seagulls and a triangle at the end of the season? And the triangle has 3 points.
That's right.
I banked that
Oh,
years
look,
ago in my head. I never forgot it. What was
you
it
know,
like?
it didn't sort of matter. Look, we were competitive, but we just didn't have the cattle, I guess. You know, we just didn't have those key players in key positions, and you could say, you know, we were sort of undercoached. You know, I don't know if Wally was putting the effort in that he should have been, but you know, he's a king, so he can do anything he
That's
likes.
Wally.
But look, I think there was a bit of a drinking culture at the club.
Right.
As I said, there was a lot of boys that went out every night of the week, and you know, every night of the week they would get free drinks. It was a bit like when I arrived at the Cowboys. You know, the boys would go out, win, lose, or draw, and that's just not the culture that you can build a really good side around. So, but you learned, so you met some great people, and I was there for 4 years, and I
Yeah.
never wanted to leave there. If I had my, you know, if the club was, or you know, if the club was going to be kept in the NRL, the RL, I would have loved to have stayed at the Seagulls because I love the Gold Coast for one, and I love the people on the coast, and I love playing with my mates on the at Seagulls.
Awesome. So I got a question from your old teammate Adrian Vowles. He's on the Point of Difference Facebook group. He wants to know, how'd you get the nickname Sugar Bags?
Actually, I think Jamie Goddard gave me that nickname. Look, I used to get a lot of stitches, as it's well documented, and but it started in under 21s. From basically day my first game, I just got I just kept on getting stitched, and actually we had a bit of a running competition myself and another good mate of mine, Andrew Whittington. So it was a competition out of both of us who would get the most stitches throughout the year. So I think I probably ended up with 100 and just pipped him on the post. But he was another good bleeder, that's for sure.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant.
Anyway,
Um,
Jamie's nickname for me was, you know, I used to get I've had more stitches than a sugar bag, so started calling me sugar bags.
got it. Right. That's cool. So 1994 rolls around. You only played the 9 games. What happened that year? Did you get injured?
No, there was a change of coach and there was a change of uh, you know, personnel at the club, and Yeah, it was just a funny year. I started in first grade, but the form looked, to be honest, my form wasn't that good. So,
Okay.
I played a bit of reserve grade that year, but we had a really good reserve grade side. Probably we could have beat our first grade side. That's how competitive we were. And so 94 and 95, I think we made the semis in both in reserve grade both those years.
Oh,
But
nice.
look, it didn't matter where we were playing at the Gold Coast. You still felt part of the club. Um, you're obviously it just depending on who was injured or who was the coach at the time or who wanted you in the team, I guess. But yeah, it was just one of those things that I played a bit of reserve grade that year, and 95 I played a bit more reserve grade, a bit of reserve grade, a bit more first grade, and yeah, I was lucky enough to sign Super League at that time.
Yeah. So just one quick part of 94, there was one cracking win where you guys beat the Broncos. You picked up 2 tries and kicked a goal, or who knew you were a goal kicker? Where did that come about?
Oh, look, we used to have these competitions at training, and on this particular day, I've knocked over 9 out of 10. So they thought, oh, you can kick. So, but I couldn't kick. Honestly, I reckon I had 20 kicks in my career, and I got 10, maybe 10. So, um, and a lot of them were missed in front, unfortunately. So yeah, look, I just got the kicking duties that day, and luckily they were close enough to the post, and yeah, it was a great win that day against the Broncos. It's sort of yeah, look, they were obviously premiers, reigning premiers, and that weekend that we had the Indy Carnival down on the Gold Coast, and
Oh, beautiful.
after the game, the Broncos got cavalcaded around the track in souped up cars and whatnot, and the whole all of most of the crowd were just booing them the whole way around. So yeah, so it was good for us. Great to have a win over the Broncos.
Oh, mate, that's so awesome. Okay, so 1995 was kind of more of the same for the Gold Coast. 3 wins. You played 14 games. What was your thought process at this stage of your career where you've had a total of 7 wins in 3 seasons playing for the Gold Coast? Was it time to move on? Like,
As I said, it was just you never thought about moving on because we loved it that much. Honestly,
okay,
it was one of the best clubs or introductions to rugby league that I've ever had. And the people we met, um, we've just made lifelong friends. So, um, but I knew I needed a change, and
yeah.
Super League was that change. I guess we're very lucky at that point. That Super League sort of changed everything, made it professional, and gave us a bit more money, so we could be professional.
Okay, so let's just talk about that. Super League's come along. Like, there's definitely 2 sides of the fence for the Super League war, where there's some players like it destroyed the game, it was horrible, and then there's other players probably like yourself who really benefited from the Super League, where the game actually helped out the people who were on those crazy contracts where you had to play 21 games to even get any money at all. Things like that.
No,
So, what was your journey through the Super League process and signing with the Adelaide Rams?
yeah, you got to understand the money I was on at Seagulls. But again, my first contract at Seagulls was $30,000, but I had to play 20 games to get it. So
Yeah.
I was obviously working at the time and making money, but if you were only playing 19 games, you wouldn't get any money. So it was just
Crazy.
fortunate enough that I played 20 games to that first year in '93 to get $30,000. But then I got signed on for a contract, so I didn't have to worry about playing games, which was great. Um, yeah, Super League was different. It was there was a big buzz going around, and we were just waiting and waiting and waiting for someone to come to the Gold Coast and throw all this money at it at us, but no one did. So unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I had the opportunity to go in and meet with the executives at Super League, and they offered me a contract. They gave me a really good bonus to sign on, which was fantastic. And then I got a 3-year deal. But the only downside with it, you had choices where you wanted to go. Obviously, my choices was Brisbane or North Queensland, just to go back home. But in the end, the players who didn't have any pull didn't get a choice. So all the discards were sort of. I went down to Adelaide because I was playing a bit more so a reserve grade player, going down to Adelaide. So most of the reserve grade players wanting to stay at their preferred clubs didn't get that opportunity.
That's how that worked. Because I asked Haitrao Kasini on the last podcast, because he signed with the Warriors with Super League, because basically all the Warriors players just went to Super League because the club went to Super League. But you were at an ARL aligned club. So
yes,
I guess you had to kind of go wherever they sent you. Is that how it worked?
well, that's how Super League worked. But in saying, when we talk about the ARL did come to the Seagulls eventually. And we knew that players, certain players were getting $800,000-900,000 million a year.
Wow.
The ARL came to the Gold Coast with a total of $500,000 a year for 40 players. Do you know what I mean?
Kidding me.
So everyone's just gone. You're taking the piss. We're out of it,
Absolutely.
basically. Yeah. So yeah, it was
Wow.
just it was bizarre, but one door closes, another opens, and I had the opportunity to go down to Adelaide. I trained hard, and look, we did the preseason in '96 down there. Unfortunately, they didn't sort of they lost their court battle in the
Yeah.
courts, and we had to go back to an ARL club. So I went back to the Gold Coast for a few weeks, and I got a call from St. George saying that they wanted to sign me. So I jumped at it. So I needed a change. Just going to Adelaide sort of just made up my mind that I needed to get out of the Gold Coast. I didn't want to stay there. So, but that was a turning point in my career going to St. George.
So how did you cope with the change of going to Adelaide and then having to go to another club? Because it's quite nerve-wracking going to a new place or job or situation. Was that something you ever struggled with, or you just more took it with two hands and said, you know what, I'm all in,
Oh, it
and
was
it was
just a great
exciting?
opportunity. Yeah, well, I
Okay.
thought it was exciting. Obviously, just getting the opportunity to go to St. George, which is a great traditional club. But we had a
Absolutely.
few guys from the Adelaide Rams who went back there as well. So it wasn't like I didn't know anyone there, but
Okay.
I knew a heap of guys, that I played against. A few of the Seagulls boys went down there as well, so I knew those guys. My great mate Adrian Brunker, and I know Colin Ward was down there as well, who had played. Grant Adamson went down there. Shaney Kenwood or Jimmy Lenahan went down there actually. He's with the Titans. So look, I knew a few of the boys down there, which made it a lot easier.
Yep.
Look, I was in no. There was no promises of going straight into the first grade. I think I played the first 4 weeks of reserve grade, and then I made my A grade debut with the Dragons, which was what I'm very proud of.
Very exciting stuff. Like, especially to go to a club where you knew they would have had potential because they'd been quite strong in the early 90s with two grand finals in 92,
Yep.
93, even though they went down. But that must have been an exciting opportunity for you, to walk into a team stacked with Paul McGregor's and
Yeah.
Anthony Mundines and
Well, that's the thing. I got to play with some tremendous players who I still rate as some of the best players I've ever played with. Like Chock Mundine is one of the most gifted players that I've ever played with. I got to play with Nolly Goldthorpe.
yeah,
I got to
man.
play with Dave Barnhill. I got to play with Jeff Hardy, Mark Coyne, who was a
Wow.
terrific captain and leader, Scotty Goulet,
Yep.
Jason Stevens.
Wow.
Just so many terrific players, and it makes a difference when you're playing with when you coach well and playing with good players. Makes it a lot
Yeah,
easier.
so you were coached by David Waite that season. That must have been a nice change for you going in with a head coach who wasn't a player coach and all of that sort of thing. What was he like as a coach to play under?
Yeah, it was excellent. I as I said before, my first coach at the Gold Coast Seagulls was Grant Bell, who went on to coach at the North Queensland Cowboys. So he was my first under-21s coach, and I learnt more in the first year than I did in the next three after Belly. You know, he was such a good, astute coach, but he was from the David Waite stable. So
Right.
going back to Wadey, you know, gives you structure, gives you simple game plan. You know your job, and you know that's what some players thrive under. And yeah,
Yeah.
I certainly did. I loved it.
Right. Okay. So you guys, you had a really good season. You qualified in seventh place, and then you went into the playoffs. So your first ever playoff match going in against the Sydney City Roosters, and you guys smashed them
Yeah.
36-16. What was your first finals experience like, and the lead up to it? You must have been buzzing.
Yeah, well, it didn't go all our way that year. Like I think we lost our first, say 9 out of 10 games, but then we won our
Oh,
last
really?
11 out of 12 games. So we sort of
Crazy.
we we just scraped into the finals.
Okay.
But we from those 11 out of 12 games that we won, we just built so much confidence and yeah, look, no, I don't think anyone was going to beat us except obviously Manly in the grand final. But brewing with confidence. I think we played the Roosters, and then I think we played Norse and maybe
Yeah.
Canberra. Yeah, so to go into the grand final. So yeah, it was just playing in finals footy was just different, and it's something I'm very proud of.
You mean like you knocked out North Sydney 29-12? What do you remember your feelings after that match thinking, holy shit, I'm going into my first grand final after playing with Gold Coast? You gotta remember you've been playing with Gold Coast. You gotta be pinching yourself thinking, shit, I'm going to the big dance. Like what were your feelings, man?
Yeah, I know. Another funny story, I'll tell you a great story is one of my best mates, Glenn Murphy. He was obviously at the North Queensland Cowboys, and they came down and beat us at Cogra. And he had asked me to be best man at his wedding that year, 1996. Anyway, we got on this amazing run for the Dragons, and I said, mate, we're going to make the grand final. Like this, we're four in a row, 5 in a row, but we're going to be in the grand final. He's going, stop it, you're not going in the grand final. And then next minute, we're in the grand final. I had to pull the pin on his wedding, which is funny.
Oh, poor fella. Oh well, grand finals important. They don't come around every day. A lot of
No,
big players have
no,
never played on
that,
ones.
yeah, it was a funny day. And you hear about players that get caught up in the hype and the week, and it can really affect you. And the game goes really quickly, so it's different to a normal game.
Okay.
Because it's the last bite of the cherry to take the chocolates home. So,
Yep.
yeah, look, it wasn't a good day for me. Probably didn't prepare myself mentally enough for that game, but it gave me a drive to want more of that, and
Yep.
yeah, so it was a great experience. But it was a great experience playing with those players that I played with, and we still celebrated after the game. We had a remarkable season. Even though we lost the grand final, it was a remarkable season, and we all just came together as a group of players, and you know, we all when we still catch up, we talk about those days.
That's so cool. Like, what were some of the things that maybe you thought you lacked in that preparation going into that grand final? Because I guess it's all new to you. You just maybe don't realize
Yeah.
the heights of what you're gonna have to go into.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like you find out friends that you never thought you had. That they just
Okay.
ring you constantly, and they're asking for this and they're asking for that. They want tickets. Come on, and I haven't heard from some of these people for 10 years. You know what I mean? Yeah, just those outside influences. Looking after family and friends. You know, took takes a lot of energy out of you during the week, and
Yep.
yeah, I was obviously fit enough to play, but I mentally fit enough. I just didn't handle the occasion.
Okay. Was there any pressure on the Dragons because they'd lost in 92 and 93 to the Broncos? They had a bit of a choker's tag right through till 2010 when they finally won a comp, and they lost again. Like, did you guys feel any of that pressure?
No, look, we never spoke about 92 and 93. It was
Okay.
a different side altogether. There was players that had played in those matches. Obviously, that they'd been scarred, but there was a lot of new players at the club that weren't, and I think that sort of rejuvenated the whole club itself.
Right.
Just I think it was an awesome experience, and the Dragons are one of the most followed teams in the NRL. When they, especially when they're winning, they come out of the closet then. So we had support everywhere we went, and it was just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And even though you went down in the final, like, did you actually just stop at the end of the match and look around and go, "Holy crap! I just played in a grand final." Like, did you take it in
Yeah.
at all?
Yeah, it was like that. You'd seen guys run out on the stadium on TV. You never thought it could be possible. And then there's nothing like winning a grand final, but there's certainly nothing like losing a grand final.
Yeah, I bet.
It just makes you want to do it more and 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 win one. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So overall, I was very lucky, I guess.
Yeah. So you're heading off. Super League won the court battle. Super League's going
Yeah,
ahead. So now all of a
yeah,
sudden you're off to Adelaide for 1997. Pretty tough year.
yeah.
You guys won about 4 games. Like, after playing a grand final, what's your thought process through the season? It's just struggling along with Adelaide.
Oh, look, no, no disrespect, but we had the same players that went down there in '96. So
Yep.
they didn't buy any superstars or anything like that. So we just had the same squad who were fringe reserve graders
Okay.
playing all together. So look, but again, some terrific players. Don't get me wrong. I think the coach was a big factor in how we sort of played, and yeah, it was just a fun season, but a difficult season.
Yeah.
Because became used to winning, and I wanted that, I wanted that feeling more and more. But yeah, but it was a learning curve, and I had some. I The greatest thing that happened that year was that I made the Tri Series, Queensland Tri Series side, so
You
and
did.
was introduced to Wayne Bennett. Yeah, so if anything out of that season, that was a highlight.
Absolutely. I found it really weird though that Super League introduced a New Zealand team into a state of origin sort of weird tri-series. It was kind of odd. But
Yeah,
yeah, you must have been pretty pleased to start, to play with Queensland guys like Alan Langer, Steve Renouf, Wendell
yeah,
Saylor, Michael Hancock. Like, the
yeah.
list goes on. It's unbelievable side. Like, what's that like for you playing your first Origin match?
Oh, it was just, it's just a dream come true. Even though it's never been classed as an Origin, it was my first Queensland jersey, and I'm so
Yep.
proud of it. I've still got it in one of my bags in there. But look, it was just the opportunity to play with great players and be coached by a great coach,
Yeah.
and it's it just makes it easier when you're playing with really good players. Makes it easier for you to do
Yeah.
your own thing. Yeah, it makes your job a lot easier.
There must have been a point, surely, during the season where you're thinking, I just played in a bloody grand final with the Dragons and now I'm at the bottom of the ladder again. Like, were there any regrets, that you didn't stay in
No, I
ARL
didn't
at
have a
all?
choice. I had to go. I wanted to
Okay.
stay at Saints. Saints wanted to keep me, but I didn't have a choice. I'd signed a 3-year deal, and
Really?
I wasn't a Brad Fittler or an Andrew Johns. I couldn't sort of
Okay.
demand what I wanted to do. So it was just one of those things I had to do. And I loved Adelaide. Don't get me wrong. I look, and the guys that were down there are still some of my best mates. So you meet
Okay.
good people, and you make the most of where you are as a group of people and players. And we made the most of Adelaide. We look, most of us enjoyed it. You know, even
Yep.
though it was tough at times. we did play the World Club Challenge. We spent 4 weeks over in England and had a great time over
Yeah.
there. So that was a great concept. And look, yeah, we had some fun times.
Yeah, man, that World Club Challenge was awesome. Like you had Bradford Bulls and you had Salford and all the English clubs, and
Yeah.
you had like Hunter Mariners and Broncos in the final. Like that's unbelievable. The Hunter Mariners probably overachieved unbelievably that season.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's funny. Look, we travelled over. The English sides travelled over here, and we beat 3 of them by 40. Put 50 on
yeah,
one of them, and we travelled back to England, and they were doing the same to us. So it was just it was fun.
yeah.
Yeah, great experience. It was fun.
I'd love to see something like that come back. Because I remember even the Warriors were smashing the likes of Bradford. They gave them an
Yeah.
absolute hiding. Yeah,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
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 Good
Not
times.
not not many of the English teams beat us over here, but yeah, we got dusted up a few times.
So going back to that Super League tri-series with Queensland, you guys made the final against New South Wales. And didn't it go to something like
Yeah.
extra time? And I think you guys went down by a
Yeah.
point thanks to Noel Goldthorpe.
I think it's still the longest game in rugby league history. Yeah, it came down
Wow.
to a field goal, and Noel Goldthorpe, who was an ex-player of mine, one of the greats.
Yeah.
He kicked the winning field goal to beat us. So it
Yeah.
was fitting, It was such a great game. We played it at QE2 Stadium, and it was a packed crowd. Everyone loved the Broncos back then, and
Yep.
most of the Broncos were inside. So it was a great spectacle.
Yeah, man. Did Noel Goldthorpe play for the Hunter Mariners, eh? He did.
Yes, yes, and when I left Adelaide to go to the Brisbane Broncos, we did a swap. Yeah, anyway, that's another story.
I had a fan question from someone. He said, what happened between you and Rod Reddy that ended up with you going to the Broncos and Noel Goldthorpe ending up at Adelaide Rams?"
Yeah. So I was having a bit of contract dispute with the Adelaide Rams officials, and they were trying to bully me, and anyway, I needed some advice. I rang Wayne Bennett, who I just finished playing in the Tri Series with, and just asked
Okay.
him for his advice, and he said not to worry about too much, and just keep playing, the footy that you're playing, and things will work itself out. So basically, that was it. It got to a point where I was disgruntled and wanted to get out.
Yep.
So I rang Wayne again. I said, mate, I want to get out of here. And he goes, oh, okay, leave it with me. So what happened? What happened was he orchestrated this changeover where he knew the Hunter Mariners were going to fold.
Okay.
He said go and do a swap with Noel Goldthorpe, who was at the Hunter Mariners. So I actually signed with the Hunter Mariners,
Really?
and spoke to Graham. Yeah, yeah, and I spoke to Graham Murray a number of times because I was just sitting up at the Gold Coast waiting for something to happen. And true to Wayne's word, the Hunter Mariners folded, and the Broncos picked me up. So I spent the next 3 years at the Bronx.
Amazing. I love Wayne Bennett, man. It's unreal. Ducks and
Yeah,
drakes all
no,
over the place. Okay, Wayne Bennett, he he essentially pulled a Swifty and he signed you. He brought you to the Broncos. Is that what happened?
yeah, yeah. That was it. My contract at the Rams, the Hunter, just folded over to the Broncos, and yeah, it was great. I had the best 3 years, of my life.
I bet you did.
It was really, really successful years. I played in most of the games that I was there for 3 years, and
Yep.
yeah, and we won 2 premierships, which was even better.
Yeah, man. So 1998, you've come into the side. It is basically Queensland stacked rep side. It is
Yeah,
unbelievable. And you
yeah,
played a lot of the season off the bench. Did that? I bet that didn't bother you at all because you're in this side where it's pretty hard to crack the starting
yeah.
pack, I guess, when you're the new kid on the block.
Yes. Look, yeah, and I had a role off the bench, so I knew my job, and I was playing with great players. They welcomed me at the club,
Yeah.
like I'd been there for 10 years, and it was just a great experience. There's some of the players that we played with, Webke and G and Plath, Mick
Wow,
Hancock, Al, Kevy, Darren Smith, Stephen Hoop, Wendell, you know,
that's
just
insane.
the great players, Darren Lockyer.
Yeah,
So I was blessed. Brad Thorne, Gordon Tallis, Petro.
Brad Thorne. He is a legend,
Oh, just
honestly.
just
Brad
rolls off
Thorne's
the tongue.
amazing.
But, yeah, look, it was a star-studded side, but we really had to work hard to win that. Get to the grand final and win the grand final. So
Yep.
we had a few downs during the year. I think Parramatta were the team that they were a bit of a nemesis for us, and
A bogey side,
luckily
eh?
enough, luckily enough, they didn't make the grand final. Yeah, but just I think I think knowing that they weren't going to be there, we were playing Canterbury. I think that gave us a bit of a boost, and
Yep.
I think just gave us a lot more confidence.
Yeah, because they beat you in the round robin and then they beat you 15-10 in the playoffs. And then they had the
Yes.
great escape against the Bulldogs where I had Paul Carriage on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
And we talked at large about that match and the poor fella. He had a bit of a mare.
oh,
And he never played
yeah, I
again.
know. Well, and that's what the big games do to you. You crumble under a bit of pressure, and you do things out that are not the normal that you do normally. And yeah, look, I don't think he was the catalyst for the loss, but he certainly didn't help. That's for sure.
No. So yeah, you did end up finishing minor premiers. So a very successful season. You must have been loving that after coming in from the Adelaide Rams. We were looking at the bottom. That must have been a
Oh, it was
nice
funny.
feeling.
I remember after the grand final, we were celebrating. We've arrived back in Brisbane, and Alfie's run Rod Reddy, and we're just cheering, cheering down the phone to him. So it was pretty funny.
That's awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, you is it the semi-final? You played Melbourne. You gave them a bit of a hiding. Sorry, you played the Roosters in the semi-final. You gave them a thrashing,
Yeah,
46-16. And you're going into
yep.
your second grand final. And you're going, oh, you little beauty. I'm not at the Rams. I'm going into my second grand final. Thank you, Wayne Bennett. Is that a good feeling?
Yeah, it was. It was just great. But it was just good to be around a successful club, and just to be around the players who'd been there before and won grand finals. So look, we were very, very calm, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think I was more mentally prepared for the game.
Right.
Knowing that what the whole game is about is just doing your job. So you didn't have to worry about things out of your control or anything like that. You just had to do your job, and the whole
Okay.
puzzle would sort of fit together.
So, question off the top of my head, in terms of doing your job, like, because Wayne Bennett's very simplistic in his game plans. As a forward,
Yep.
is your job, does he like say, right, Kev, I just want you to tuck the ball under the arm and go forward. Don't be fancy. Your job's to take hit ups or tackle. Is that how simple he makes it?
Yeah, it's simple as that. Get on there, make as many tackles as you want. Just do a hit up every now and again. Don't be getting in the way of the big fellas. They want
Right.
the ball more than you do. So yeah, no dramas. That's great. That's great. If you get the ball, tip on, use a bit of skill if you want to, but just keep it simple.
Okay. Because when you've got a backline with Darren Lockyer, Alan Langer, Kevin Walters, Wendell Sailor, you don't really need to be that fancy as a lock forward, do you?
No, but I mean, everyone had their job. If you look at that 2000 side, we weren't as flashy as the 98 side. I don't think we had um, the flashiness. We had some great players, don't get me wrong, but we built the whole year on our defence. And I think and just working hard for each other in defence. I think that sort of set the tone for the season. The year before 99, I think we lost 9 out of our first 10 games. And again, we scraped home for the semi-final against the minor premiers as it was back then, and they beat us by 50, or
Yeah.
put 40 on
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
That's right. So for that 98 final, you actually picked up a try. Like you played the Bulldogs. You guys were actually down at half time. I remember this so vividly watching the game. Because believe it or not, I was actually a Broncos fan until the year 2000. I actually switched to the Warriors finally.
Good on you.
Because I supported the Broncos until the Warriors came along. And then I was kind of like, oh, I still like the Broncos. So I was enjoying watching the Broncos. You scored a try in the second half. How good is it scoring a try in a grand final? That's massive.
Yeah, look, it was just lucky to be on the field at that right time. So I had a bit of. It could have went either way, that try. They could have called no try or try, because there was only a blade of grass in touching the ground. So lucky enough, Billy Harrigan blew the whistle straight away, and yes, I would have probably been dragged off if that didn't go down.
Yeah, so those were the days where they actually awarded the try and didn't have to get it taken off you. So you must be pretty pleased about that.
Yeah, well, they didn't have the video rep back then, so it was great. Yeah. So, but look, yes, I've scored a grand final try. So there's I think this come up as a what do you call it, a trivia question at a corporate function that I had with Darren Lockyer. We were both on the panel as guests, and the question came up as how many grand final tries. Who has scored the most grand final tries, Kevin Campion or Darren Lockyer?
It'd be you, wouldn't it? Take that, Lockyer. You got nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You muppet.
Oh, how good's that? How good. So what's the feeling like? You guys absolutely blew the Bulldogs off the park in the second half. Like, you guys ran away with it, something like 38-12, or I think that was the score. And you've won your first grand final. What's going through your mind? Like, you've got to be elated.
It was just months and months of hard work, and just a great group of guys, celebrating a goal that we set at 12 months prior. And there's nothing like it. It was special. And I think it was the first time they actually awarded the grand finalists the Premier's ring. So that was special, and just great to do it with Wayne as a coach as well. I sort of forged a great friendship with him over the 3 years that I was there, especially that first year. So it was great. Look, I was very proud.
Yeah, you should be, mate. Grand finals don't come along every day. To play in two and then win the second one, it must be like quite sweet after losing one to come back and actually win one. That must make it a bit sweeter.
Well, you just think after the first one, it's going to happen every year. You know what I mean? But you look at players like Jonathan Thurston. I think his first year he won a grand final. Second year he played in a grand final, and then he had to wait another 10 for his next grand final. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't come every year, and they're hard to win. So it was great. Loved it.
Yeah, I could liken that to Sean Johnson. He played one in his first season, a grand final. He's barely played any finals ever since.
No, that's
not even a grand final. Barely made the finals for years. So pretty tough. So you said 1999, a very tough year. As I was watching the Broncos as a fan that season, you guys lost your first 5. What went wrong? Alan Langer retired all of a sudden. The Broncos have won 1 out of 9 games, and then you had a draw, and it was just looking abysmal. And you had a new crop of guys like the Walker brothers sort of coming through. Yeah, Alan Langer gapped it. What's going through the minds of all the Broncos players? Like, what went wrong?
Oh, look, it's difficult. You get used to winning, and you get used to losing. So it's either one or the other. That's the thing. And we weren't performing after the 98 season. We just thought we'd show up and start winning, and it just didn't go to plan. And after every loss, it sort of brought us down. Another loss, was down. We started looking around, questioning each other. And the great thing about Wayne as a coach, he called us in after we'd lost 9 out of 10, and he basically had the whole yearbook, the coaching book in his hands, and he ripped it up in front of us. And he
Oh
basically
wow.
said, "Boys, we're just going to go back to the basics. We're just going to do the little things right. We're going to do all those little, 1%ers right, and we'll just see what happens." And we did. We started winning, and we didn't start winning by much. It was 2 and 4 points, but
Yeah.
we started the grind. Get back to the way we wanted to play, and I think we won 10 of our last 11 games. So
Yeah.
amazing
Incredible.
achievement, because we could have been the first Broncos team since 1991 to miss a final.
That's right.
So for us to do what we did that year was something special, but it set us up for the year 2000, the next year.
Okay.
We had a few kids who debuted. You just mentioned the Walkers. We had Chrissy Walker debut, I think. We had Lottie DeCurie debut.
Oh, what a gun.
So I think it set us up for the year 2000. We we're all we were ready to roll the first day of
Yeah.
training.
Yeah, you ran into a red hot Cronulla side in that first versus eighth match in the finals. I know Matt Rogers had a day out and ET had a good game, and
Yeah,
and then they still bowed out. They didn't win the final, which was unreal because they were the
I think
team, but they were
I
unreal.
think I think we were just exhausted. It was to make that, we had to play a grand final every week for 10 weeks, because
Yeah,
not one of us wanted to be the first Broncos side to miss the final.
that's right.
So we were just exhausted, and everyone was beaten up basically.
Yeah,
Everyone was playing with injuries, and Cronulla, they were minor premiers and they deserved to be there, and they were a very good side that year. They had a very, very good team, so they
yeah,
they put a good cricket score on us, which was fitting.
yeah.
It set us up mentally for next year.
Well, on the plus side, it was roles reversed the next year in the year 2000. You guys, I think, finished like top of the ladder and ended up knocking the Sharks out in the first round of the playoffs, must have been quite
Yeah,
satisfying after that.
but we were lucky in that game. We were down in that game for a long period of time. We weren't playing our best footy. And there was a turning point. I think Russell Richardson had an opportunity to score and drop the ball over the line.
Ooh, ouch.
And we just clicked into gear. I think that's what sort of got us started. And we actually came back and won that game. So
Yep.
if I think Russell had scored that try at that point of the game, they would have put us to bed, but they didn't. And that that was a big boost for us.
It's interesting in games when there's a team flying out in front and then someone botches a try and then the other team comes out. It actually happened to Darren Lockyer in that 2008 World Cup final. Australia are up by miles, like 16-0 or 10-0 or whatever. Darren Lockyer drops one over the line, and then Jeremy Smith scored for New Zealand, and then Jerome Ropati scored, and then New Zealand were unstoppable after that. But that would have put the game away. Like, honestly, that would have been over if Lockyer scored that. Yeah. So,
But
sorry, Darren.
it's funny how it works. I mean, that's the beast of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So you guys run out against the Sydney Roosters in the 2000 grand final, and it was a bit of an arm wrestle, wasn't it? Like, it wasn't a coasting game at all. 14-6, I think the score was, and you guys,
Yeah.
you did it feel comfortable at all though? Like, because you didn't really feel like it was in any doubt, like watching it. But
Yeah. I think when I touched base on, we changed our whole style. We were more of a defensive team rather than an attacking team. Just from the 99 season, I think we just knew how to grind, and we knew we were going to win that game because we were the best grinders in the game at that point of time. And it was a tough game, and it could have went either way. There were a few turning points. But I think just the class of our defence got us through that day.
interesting how you guys won on a defensive game plan, because for years you guys were the entertainers, like your Steve Redoff. Like, that many tries I've seen of Steve Renouf just blitzing, and Willie Kahn and Michael Hancock. It's unfair for the other clubs, to be fair. But you guys actually got through on defense. I think it's interesting how Wayne Bennett changed the whole style of the club after that '99 season.
Yeah, look at we certainly had a great, like a hardened forward pack. We had Webby and Petro up front.
Yeah.
Actually, Dane Carlow started in that grand final, but Petro had broken his arm. We had Brad Thorne
Okay.
and Gordy Tallis, and I was packing at lock, and we had Luke Prittis, who was hooker, who was a very good hooker.
So underrated.
But defensively, we were very hardened. We had some great skill out wide. Don't get me wrong. We still had Kevy Walters there. Benny Eichen was playing 5'8", and you had
Yes.
Lockie, Wendell, and Mick DeVere.
Mick DeVere, yeah.
And
He scored,
Tony
didn't he?
Carroll. Yeah, he scored.
Yeah.
He would have scored one of the first tries. Of a great try,
He
actually.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So we had some tremendous talent out wide, but our focus was just grind, and we'll win the game.
Beautiful. So you guys won the game. The hooter goes off. You've won 2 grand finals. That's unbelievable. Like, what's going through your mind? You guys have come back from a really dull season of '99 to premiers. That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, it was. Talk about, we're talking about before not playing in a grand final again. Is Ash Harrison was in that side. He was just a young 19-year-old kid.
Yeah,
and that was his first year in A-grade. He played, and he won a grand final. Never played in another one.
I went to South. That was a bad move. They were absolute rubbish when he was there.
Oh, it was just amazing. It was my last year at the club. It was very emotional.
Yeah.
The scenes on the ground after the game are just, unforgettable, and they were just memories forever. Yeah, it was just special. Yeah, it was good.
So at that time, did you know you were leaving the Broncos?
Yeah, I'd signed a contract to play over in England with Warrington, so I knew I was leaving the Broncos, and I'd been selected in the Irish side to play in the Irish play in the Rugby League World Cup that year. So I was going over there to test the waters to see what it was like. So I'm glad I made that side.
That's right. So you played for Ireland. You played in Group D with Samoa, the Aotearoa Māori side, and Scotland, and you guys topped the group, which is pretty unbelievable, really.
We had a pretty good side. It's a good mix of Aussies and a great mix of English players. A few of those players had won the Super League Grand Final that year. Chris Joint, who was my roomie, he was part of that St Helens side. We had Tommy Martin, we had Barry McDermott, but we had a host of Aussie players. Luke Ricketson played, Danny Williams, Dave Barnhill. So it was some really good players in that side. Terry O'Connor was our captain, played for Wigan. He was an excellent leader. But we had a really good, everyone gelled really well. We spent a week over in Spain before we went to England, and that sort of, brought us together as a group. We trained hard, and then we started playing and started winning. And it was great. It was great confidence. And we first Irish side to play in the quarterfinals of the Rugby League World Cup.
Unbelievable. So my mate Greg Townsend, he is massive on the international game. He's my best friend. He loves rugby league. He wants to know how you actually got involved in the Irish team originally. Like, how did you qualify and actually decide to go play for Ireland?
Yeah, I've just had grandparent heritage rule. That's all it was. My grandfather was born in Ireland, so yeah, I just had grandparent heritage. So it was there, and I could have played for France, but I decided I couldn't speak French, so I'd rather go and drink some pints of Guinness with the homies.
Damn right. So you actually came up against England in the quarterfinal. So you guys topped the group. You're in the quarters, and you guys put up a hell of a fight. Like, you only went down by 10 points or something, but I feel like the match was actually closer than the scoreline reflected, because you gave them a hell of a run.
Well, it was in the balance, and at one point in the game, and yeah, we had the opportunity to score to get us in front, and we took the wrong option obviously, and they went down the other end of the field and scored. But just the scenes and the build up to the game was just unbelievable. Obviously, the English Irish, rivalry. I've never really experienced anything like it. Just singing the the Irish national anthem, and having the Pommies sing it theirs to us, and we had a few. Brian Carney, who had played over in the NRL, was
Yeah,
a
he
winger in
played
that side.
Newcastle, didn't he?
He was so passionate about Ireland and his heritage. He yeah he was very pumped up on the day.
Yeah. What's it like standing there with this massive crowd? Like what's the atmosphere like? Like it must have been electric because I've been to one World Cup match in Hamilton when Tonga beat New Zealand. I don't know if you remember that match in 2017. That was
Yeah, right.
unbelievable. That was crazy.
Yeah, well, it was unbelievable because I believe that we had all the support there,
Yeah.
which was unbelievable. I think a lot of there was obviously Pommy support, but a lot of those Pommies wanted the Irish to win just out of spite. I don't know what it was, but our support was unbelievable. And the more we won during that competition, the bigger our support grew. We spent
Yep.
2 weeks in Belfast and 1 week in Dublin.
Yep.
And yeah, look, we had, even though the crowds weren't that big over there, obviously it was it wasn't their national sport, but they still came out and supported us. But when we got back to Headingley in Leeds, they just came out of the woodworks.
Amazing. That's just such a cool experience for you. So yeah, a bit of a shame you guys didn't top them, but you came pretty bloody close to knocking out one of the heavyweights, which is pretty awesome.
It would have been great, because I think we would have had to play New Zealand to go into
Yeah.
the World Cup decider. So, and look, it was just a great experience.
Yeah. And didn't Wales like push Australia like really close? Like they were leading at half time, and then Australia managed to sort of get back over the top of them. And that would have been unbelievable. Imagine Ireland and Wales going through. That would have been
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, imagine that.
Imagine that.
No.
So you said you went over and played over there to test the waters. So what happened? You'd signed with Warrington, you're in the UK, and
Yeah,
give us all
I
the
went. I
details.
went over there. I went over there, and it was the worst weather in 400 years. And I'm going, oh, I'm not coming back to this place. Um, and it was probably a hasty decision to sign for Warrington. One of the main reasons I signed there was Alfie and Andrew G were there, and they were good friends of mine, and they
That's
wanted me
right.
to sign there. But as soon as I signed, Alf decided to pull the pin. He wanted to go home, so I wasn't too happy about that. But look, fortunately, I rang Wayne and just asked him for his advice, and he said, "Leave it with me." And yeah, 24 hours later, he said the Warriors had just gone through a new change of ownership, and they're looking for players. I think it'd be a good move for you to come back, and why don't you sign with them? I said, "Oh, how am I going to get out of this Warrington deal?" Um, and anyway, I'd spent a couple of nights with Darryl Vanderveld and Alf and Gigi on the drink and having a great time, thinking, they're thinking I'm coming. And Wayne rings me a couple of days later. He said, "Mate, you got to ring Darryl and let him know that you're not coming." I said, "What do I say?" I made up this story. Actually, it wasn't. It was a half true story. My young fella had croup in Brisbane. Spent a bit of time in hospital in that 2000 season. So my excuse was family. Obviously I didn't want to bring Austin, my eldest, to this type of weather, knowing that he's spending time in hospital in Brisbane, which is
Okay.
hot 99% of the year with croup. So Darryl understood. Yeah, and yeah, just a little. just on that, Daryl's just passed away. So yeah, condolences to his family. He was a terrific guy.
Yeah. So before you even went to Warrington, were there any offers in the NRL, or was it just a case of no, I'm going to Warrington?
Yeah, well, I sort of didn't put myself out there. I was just Alfie and Gigi had sort of had persuaded me to go to Warrington. So I thought, oh, well, we'll just take the family over there and do some traveling and see what happens. Basically, experience what everyone else has experienced.
Yeah.
But the first step off the plane, it was like freezing, and it was wet. It was just constant. And I'm going, what are these two lunatics got me into? So yeah, but it worked out well. I got the opportunity to sign with the Warriors, and I was very excited about that, knowing the players that they had there, and yeah, I loved my time. It was one of the best footy decisions of my life.
Yeah, mate. Like everybody loved it. I'll never forget. I was like my mate Greg. I was just talking about. I was at his house, we over the off season, and we heard on the radio or on the news that Kevin Campion had signed with the Warriors. We're like, get the fuck out of here! What? No way! How did they pull that off? Because like you're a big fish, Like we couldn't believe it because the
Yeah,
Warriors had just fallen on their sword as a club. Like nothing was happening. We didn't know who was signed.
yeah,
It was a mess. And then
yeah.
it's announced that you signed. You're like, holy crap, this is amazing. And
Uh,
so, what were your initial thoughts when you came to New Zealand? Like, what were your
Well,
thoughts of New Zealand?
well, the thing was that they had a pretty good roster. Stacey Jones, obviously,
Yep.
Ivan Cleary. You
Yes.
had Logan Swan, and Goodmill, Monty Beetham. You
Toots.
had Ali Lati, Jerry CC. They had a really good roster. You know,
Yep.
um, Francis Melly. These are all
Yep.
up and coming kids who
Absolutely.
who played a bit of first grade and started making a name for themselves. And well, we had some really good Aussie guys there as well. Jason Deeth was there. He
Yes.
was a tremendous player.
Yeah.
Um,
Nat Wood, was he still
Justin
there?
Justin Morgan came over. Mark Tukey.
Yep.
Who else? Yeah, Johnny Carler, I think, arrived at the same time. Natty Woods, who was a bit
Yeah,
of a
Natty Wood.
character.
Yes.
Um, so there was a really, really good roster there.
Yeah.
I just, and the great thing, um, the thing what made the club was that Ando came over as a new coach, and changed how we trained and how we played. So I mean, he was a
Yes.
instrumental in how those first 2 years I was here, how well, how successful we were.
Yeah. So, being
Yeah.
brutally honest here, just how different were the standards at the Warriors when you arrived to your time at the Broncos, who are like the most
Oh,
professional elite club in the country in Australia, and you rock into the Warriors,
yeah.
and you had to roll your eyes at something, surely.
Well, it wasn't that. I just think there was no standard, to tell you the truth. I think there was a there was a high performance standard at the Broncos. It was very competitive. No one cut corners, and we worked until we dropped. Basically, you know what I mean. And that's something that I tried to install into the squad that we had there. We had Kempi as our trainer. We'd be doing shuttle runs and things like that, and blokes wouldn't be getting to the line and turning, and that's cutting corners. And
Yep.
so we implemented things to you know try and sway them from doing that. Basically, push-ups, and you drop the ball, we did push-ups, and we did any penalty that happened during training, there was a penalty that incurred a
Yep.
penalty. So that was a thing I tried to install, and that's basically what I knew what successful clubs were doing. There was just no cutting corners.
Yeah, there's no substitute for hard work and doing those one percenters. So were you essentially brought in as that guy for the younger guys to look up to? Was that like a thing from day one where you were just like you're you're the senior guy?
Um, Oh, look, I was asked to be, obviously co-captain that first year, which was a great honour for me and Stacey. But I don't know if it took me a while to settle in at the at the Warriors because the boys used to do my head in. They didn't play the style that I wanted to play, which was just 1, 2, 3, 4, kick down and tackle. They'd go 1, 2, offload, flick pass, 3, 4, throw the ball over the back. So it took me 10 weeks, at least a few months to get my head around it. Once I got my head around it and tried to, just calm things down when we were doing, just work hard for each other and that, but just calm things down when we were under a bit of pressure. It's, I started playing some good footy because I wasn't as stressed. I wasn't as stressed and yelling at players. I used to yell so much at some of the players,
Because they
because
listen though.
well, after the fact they listened, but some of the players you just couldn't, bridle. Players like Clinton Tupi and Ali Latiti, you
Yeah.
wanted them to, shine because they're two of the most athletic players that I've ever played with. But
Yeah.
there's a time to shine. You know what I mean? You got to do the hard work first. We can't start shining straight away. Because the sun will set very quickly. It took us a while to look. We had a very good forward pack that year. Probably one of the best I've ever played with. 2002. Our dummy half was PJ Marsh, and he was so electric.
It was
Out of
unreal.
dummy half, he worked so well with Stacey. They combined so well together. We were solid at the back. Our back three were very, very good. Our two centres were very, very good. But our back rowers, Owen and Ali, were just outstanding. They're just
Next
two of
level,
the
eh?
most skillful players that I've ever played with. And then
Yeah.
you bring on Logan Swan, who was just as good. We just had to, we had to teach the guys to. It's not one in the first minute. It's one in the 79th or 80th minute. So you got to work hard up until that. And if we're good enough to put 50 on a team, then we're good enough to put 50 on a team. But you won't put 50 on a team until you grind them to a point of no return.
Yeah.
So we just had to get that mentality, and everyone sort of bought in. We had we based our game plan around our defence, our big forward pack, our skill out wide was just phenomenal. So
Yeah.
and you would have seen some great tries in that 2002
Amazing.
season. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And we had Ivan who couldn't miss a goal.
Did you realize at the time when you came to the Warriors in 2001 what a big signing you were? Like, actually, from a fan perspective, because we've all been following the Warriors for a while, and you get the odd Australian come over, but no one had such an influence like you did. Did you realize that at the time?
No, probably not at the time. Probably not at the time. No, I sort of realised it, at the end of the 2002 series. Well, I played with some terrific players there, and you can't sort of discard that. Some of the players there are the best that I've ever played with, and I rate that 2002 side up against our 98 and 2000 side, which I still believe that we should have won that grand final. We just went away from what we that got us there. That's all, and we started playing instead of staying in the grind, we just started playing the razzle dazzle and just didn't work on the day.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking, mate. It was a tough one. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the year before, you guys, you had a match against Melbourne. You guys had been like win loss all season, and then you got on a bit of a roll for the last few rounds, and it came down
Yeah.
to second to last round. If you beat Melbourne, you're in. If you draw, you're in. If you lose, you got to play the Cowboys in the last round. And then bloody, you got off to a
Oh,
great start, and I'm thinking this is fantastic. Where is he going to make the playoffs? And then bloody Storm come back. Henry Perenara scores on the buzzer to tie it up. What are you thinking when that try scored? It goes upstairs. They give the try. Matt Guys line up the goal. Take it away, Kevin Campion.
I just miss it. Oh, look, the scenes after that game when we knew we were in the finals, first Warriors team to make the finals, was just unbelievable. And we probably partied a bit harder than we should have. But it was one of the first, one and only times that Ando actually let us have a drink after the game, and we took really good advantage of it. But the first team to make the finals, it was something special. We just had such a great night that night. It was really good. It was special.
Any Warriors fan will know where they were and that match. And the fact that that was the one that did it, it was in heartbreaking fashion, and you had to put us through that like every traditional Warriors side, make the fans sweat right to the last second, and it was incredible. Like to think, holy crap, they finally did it. They're in the final. And to be fair, it was against all odds going into the 2001 season. Like everyone expected the Warriors to come last.
Yeah, well, once we started believing in what we were doing and working hard for each other, it was everything clicked. It can't not click with the players, the quality players that we had. It was, some of those players would go down as some of the greats in rugby league. So, Stacey Jones, definitely an immortal in my eyes. He's a terrific player.
Unbelievable player. Without Stacey Jones, the Warriors from 1995 probably to the end of 2005 probably didn't win many games, to be fair. He was that influential. Like Andrew Johns at the Knights when he was there. He was that influential at times.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, look, and up until his retirement, he was influential. He was such a great player, but the most humble bloke that you'd ever meet. So that's what I love about Stacey. You don't get too much out of him. Give him a few drinks, you get a lot out of him. But he's not big on talking about him. That's for sure.
Oh, good stuff. So you guys, you didn't actually play the finals match against the Eels in that first playoff.
I tore my hammy in the game against the Cowboys, which was just bizarre. Yeah, it was probably those 1,000 beers I had celebrating after the Melbourne win. But unfortunately, I did my hammy. I travelled with the team. If we would have beat North Queensland that day, we would have finished 6th or 7th, or maybe even 5th.
It would have helped.
But it wasn't about. We got beaten by the Cows, unfortunately, and and we were up against a red hot Parramatta side who,
they were unreal. They should have won the comp.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad Newcastle won.
Yeah, because they inherited Jason Taylor, Michael Buechner from the Northern Eagles when they folded, and that just changed the Parramatta side. They just blew everyone apart. But you guys actually beat them during the season, if you remember.
Yeah. Look, we were a good side, especially at home. That was our sort of fortress. We didn't travel that well, but especially at home, we used to make statements.
Yeah, man, you did.
Because we had so much. The support base was unbelievable in New Zealand, especially when you're winning.
Yeah, man. And another first that season, you beat the Broncos for the first time. Did you realise at the time how much of a big deal that was? Like, that was a big deal.
No, I didn't. It was a big deal after the match. I tell you, that was one of the tough games.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise the rivalry between the two teams.
Okay.
obviously dating back to '95, the first game of the season. But
Yeah.
yeah, but everyone wanted to beat the Broncos. They were the premiers. Everyone wanted to
Yeah.
beat the Bronx, and nothing's sort of changed. Everyone still wants to beat the Bronx because of the success they've had over a long time. So yeah, but amazing after that win. It was a couple of funny stories after that win. I think and they put us on a bit of a drinking ban, and the doctor who loves a drink, he must have snuck out for a few, and we used to have uh, our our swim sessions at Panmure,
Okay.
Panmure pools after the game. So anyway, Ando put us on a drinking ban and said, if anyone turns up, you're going to be breathalyzed. Just warning you now. Anyway, me and my wife we went out to there was a little I don't know, like a what do you call it, like a band playing in one of these big big gardens or something where it was. Anyway, Doothy's obviously snuck out and had a big one, so he's rocked over the Bambury pool, just off his head. And anyway, true to and he's put him on the breathalyzer. He's blew 3 times the limit. I just go, what the hell? Anyway, they put him into rehab there for a while.
Oh my God. Oh, it's
The
gold.
doctor. The
Oh
doctor.
man.
Funny man.
Awesome, awesome. So in 2001, you guys didn't get any further than the first round of the finals, but you had an amazing season being selected for Queensland. You little beauty,
Yeah.
Queensland. Just saying. You played in all 3 matches, but you played at hooker. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I know. Uh, well, and I can't even pass, to tell you the truth. So Johnny Doyle obviously sat on the bench, and Wayne just wanted to start with a bit more physical pack. So
Okay.
he threw me in at hooker. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather defend in the middle where I was defending. But yeah, it was just one of those things that I have. It's that I was hoping to play lock forward and didn't get the opportunity.
Well, I guess though you've gone down one of the all-time folklore series where Alfie Langer he gets called into game 3. The series is 1-1. Wayne Bennett pulls a frickin' rabbit out of his hat, calls back Alan Langer, SOS, come save us. And you guys put on a masterclass, 40-14. Alan Langer scores a try. It's a fairy tale. Like it doesn't get any better than that.
And to tell you, no one knew that Elf was coming, um, which was unbelievable. The secret that they held very tightly, no one knew. So it wasn't until he actually rocked up on the day that we knew he was coming.
Really,
So it was such a surprise, a great surprise. Everyone loves Elf, and
yeah.
he's obviously the best player that I've played with, and he's easy to play with. Yeah, so it was great to have him back in camp. He's always up for a laugh, and
Yeah.
yeah, look, but he turned it on that night, and it's probably one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
Especially under that
Unreal.
much pressure and being
Yeah.
at that age. Yeah, such a special night.
Yeah, absolute fairy tale. My wife loves Wayne Bennett. She thinks he is like the best. Like we both listened to the audio book, The Wolf You Feed, his book. Amazing, amazing journey. She wants to know what it's like playing under Wayne Bennett, like in general. What's it like?
Yeah, it was easy. There was no pressure. He never put any pressure on you. Once you're in the team, you're in the team, and
Okay.
he probably used to say, "Look, if you have 5 bad games, you're out. But look, just keep doing your job." And it was easy. Look, it was very. No one was ever stressed. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You have some coaches that you're stressed, you're worried about it all the time. You're worried about footy all the time, but Wayne was never like that. And I think that's why he got the best out of a lot of people. He got the best out of the greats of the game. There was no pressure on them. They could just do what they do best, and there was no pressure on them. If it didn't come off, it didn't come off. But you're not going to die trying. Every player that's ever played under Wayne has had you want to play for him, and you've
Okay.
got that, and you've got that respect for him, and you don't want to let him down. You
Yeah.
know, it's that's an important ingredient for a coach to have. I know, you look at Ivan Cleary,
Yeah.
you know that his players love him, you know they respect him, and they want to play for him.
Yeah.
He's very similar to Wayne. He's very calm too, Ivan. He's just very calm.
So quickly, just on State of Origin, what's it like running out for Queensland going into battle against New South Wales? Like we're Kiwis, we don't quite get that same fanfare over here. Like people still love it, but it's very much an
Yeah,
Aussie thing. So
yeah. Look,
what's it like for
I
you?
was I was fortunate enough to run out in the last game at Lang Park, so I got to experience Lang Park as the old stadium, not the
Yes.
Suncorp Stadium as it is today. So it was a lot of emotion there. Obviously, representing Queensland, you're representing your club and you're representing your family, and all of those things go through you. But it's very emotional. Like just to be in that side, something that you wanted to do from an early age is is a lot goes into that. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of moving around, a lot of family moving around, a lot of you know your wife is making sacrifices, your kids are making sacrifices, and so you're representing all those people. So I was very emotional. I was crying singing the national anthem at the 2002 grand final, but I was very, very emotional singing the national anthem at my first Origin 2001.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Like men, hard men like yourself can feel that emotion because it means so much. You've worked so hard for it. And,
Yeah.
I get like that at the end of a marathon when I'm running my marathons and you're on for a PB and you cross that line and
Oh,
you've run your fastest marathon and all that training just pays off in that moment. And then my wife's there
yeah.
or you just yeah, it's pretty special, eh? It's pretty
Oh,
special.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good that you do those marathons, mate. They're hard work.
Yeah, yep, yep. Me and the wife, that's how we met 4 years ago. Our marathon running.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a
Wow.
pretty special lady. She runs very well. She's around that sort of 3 hour mark when she's running well.
Wow.
Yeah, mental way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm a sub 4 guy, but if I get under 4 hours, I'm very happy.
Mate, you're flying under 4 hours.
Yeah, I'll take it every time. So 2002, let's have a bit of a chat about that. You had some amazing wins along the season. One
Yeah.
in particular, Stacey Jones, 150th game. You flogged the Northern Eagles, 68-10. He scored 3 tries. The club's on fire. PJ Marsh is tearing everyone to bits. This was
Yep.
an amazing Warriors side. Like I've never seen another team like that. I don't think ever. It was unbelievable the flair you had on attack.
That was that was a great win for the club. I think Ando sat a few of us out that night, and a few of the young kids got to make their debuts.
Yeah,
Um, I I think maybe Vinny Anderson may have made his debut. Um, but yeah, we actually put a cricket score on him, and
yeah,
it was just great to watch. I know PJ was on fire, Stace was on fire, Ivan Cleary was on fire, everyone was on
good.
fire.
12 out of 12 conversions.
Yeah,
Crazy.
but it was great for the club. I mean, you work so hard, um, and after a period, other clubs know that they're going to be in for a battle, and it's a mind game thing. I remember just being at the Broncos, knowing that we're going to win, and
Yeah.
you feel sorry for the side who's going to come up here and get 60. But I think we put 60 on Norths one day, and we're warming up, and where we used to warm up, they used to walk past us behind glass. And we started laughing. They sort of laughing and being jovial. And they walked past with pan faces, and you could just see they were shitting themselves. They go, we'll put 60 on these boys. We're high and five at each other, and that's what it was like at the Warriors. That's the feeling we had. We going, we're going to just demolish you blokes tonight. And I don't think we ever had any trouble with that particular year, 2002. I think the Doggies were minor premiers. They would have been minor premiers, but got their points split. But
You beat
they
them.
didn't fear us. We didn't fear them. And we beat them. Yeah. I think we beat them twice that year. And we love playing. We love playing the better teams. It was like that. Had that same feeling when I was at the Bronx. I just knew, just looking around the sheds, that we're going to. I don't know how many points we're going to score tonight, boys. It's going to be a good night for us.
It's going to be exciting. I think you just had that perfect blend of exciting backs, but they were all hard. Like Francis Melly folded people in half. Like poor Brent Tate. The amount of highlights I've seen of him getting snapped in half by Francis Melly was amazing. But your forward pack was brutal. You guys were tough. Jerry Ceci, Richard Villasanti just folding guys. I loved it.
Yeah. But we all knew our job. If you watched those games, no one went away from what we did well. You know what I mean? There was no one throwing 20-meter cutouts or anything like that. We just forward, kick, defend. We were basically playing like the Broncos of old. And that's why we were so successful. We were a good grinding side, and it was just great to be a part of. Knowing, I think we only lost 5 games that year in 2002, so we deserved to be minor premiers, even though the Doggies didn't lose as many of us, but I think we had their measure.
Absolutely. I went to every home game. It was honestly, I don't think there's a season like that. Even though there was the 2011 grand final team, I still think 2002 was just special. Like there was just something about that side that was incredible. And there was one particular match we have to talk about it. You played the Broncos. Shane Webke, he gets up, he shoves you in the tackle because you've come in from the side, given him a good smash, and then it's all on. Kevin Campion's given him 6 of the best, and he's on the ground. Like, what happened, man? Like, what was that all about?
Webby just reacted to a good tackle, and he didn't have to. He's trying to bully. He's a bully. That's what he is. He just, I had a moment about 5 minutes before that I was going to punch Brent Tate in the head because he was being a smart ass, and it was just, I was just filthy at the time. Anyway, I hit him with a good shot. He reacted, and I guess it's just one of those things that we laughed about it. I entered the shed after the game. I went had a beer with the boys at the Bronx, and everyone's cheering, laughing. So and they were giving it to Webby. It was hilarious. So it was pretty funny scenes after the game, more so, because I had some really good friends there.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was. I think it's probably one of the only times ever that Wayne has ever been into an opposition shed.
Really?
He came into our shed after the first time we beat him in 2001 to congratulate us, and he brought Justin, his son, in with him, and obviously we presented Justin with a Warriors jersey.
That's beautiful.
But it was one of the only times Benny's ever come into an opposition shed to say anything, So it was nice of him to do so.
Yeah, that's amazing. It just shows what Bennett's like, when he sees something special, he acknowledges it. He's just like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a good man.
That's so cool. So you guys, you carve up the competition. Long story short, you're minor premiers. I mean, that's amazing in itself. Did you feel that was one of the most special things of your career? Like, especially when you came to the Warriors, they weren't in a good place. 2 years later, you're minor premiers. Like, that's amazing.
No, it was unbelievable. But that feeling of that first home semi against Canberra, look, there was no chance they were going to beat us. You know what I mean?
I was at the game. That was incredible. It was incredible.
Yes, and it was an incredible game. Yeah, and we put a few points on them, which was great. The way we played.
Yeah.
Gave us a week off to play Cronulla to go into the grand final, and we played the perfect game against Cronulla.
You did.
Probably should have played that game in the grand final. It was just a good
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah.
Again, with two teams. And whoever grinds better wins the game. And that particular day, we played for the full 80 and
Yep.
didn't get away from what had got us there the whole year. That's the way we played. And that feeling after that, knowing that we're going to another knowing that the club was going to their first grand final and I'm
Yeah.
going to another grand final was just unbelievable. Yeah.
That was amazing. I think you nailed it. That was the perfect game. There's only one other I can think of, and that was 2011 when Sean Johnson did his little dart across field and put Lewis Brown over for the try against Melbourne to go to the grand final. That was an 80-minute performance with a last-minute try as well. Very similar,
Yeah.
but they played it a week
Yeah,
early.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's right.
but that Sharks game, like you said, perfect game. Motu Tonu scores an amazing solo intercept, and you had Torpy scored an amazing try. But it was that perfect game where you defended, and then took your opportunities. And of course, Carlo took Mark Tukey's try off him to score that winner. Mark Tukey's chasing through.
It wasn't that. We had the best halfback in the world controlling a great game, and Stace just knew what to do for the team. And it was a perfect kick at the perfect time, and it was a perfect result.
Crazy good.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
As a fan, it was unbelievable to finally see Stacey Jones make a grand final because, if anyone deserved it for all the turmoil the club had been through, he stuck with them, he was loyal, and to see the team go to the grand final with Stacey leading the charge, it was pretty amazing, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, look, he's one of those players that should have played in 4 or 5,
Yeah.
It's just a shame. It's just a shame, It's a shame what happened to the club as a club and how it sort of imploded and then it grew again and now it's now it's bigger than ever.
Yeah, man. So let's talk a bit about the grand final. You guys were 6-2 down going into halftime, I think. Stacey scores that incredible try. I mean, again, Stacey Jones, what a moment to step up. He scores that unbelievable try. I don't think I've ever celebrated a try as hard in my life. That was unbelievable. We're talking a whole room full of guys just on top of each other going mental. It was crazy.
Even though we lost that day, it was probably one of the best grand final tries you'll ever see.
Ever.
Yeah, and he deserved a ring. That's the sad thing. He deserved a ring, and we couldn't get it for him. We just got a bit cocky and thought we could blow them away too early, and we started playing the footy that we hadn't played since early 2001.
Yeah.
So it was like a hot potato, thinking we'd had to score on every play, and I think a big factor was PJ Marsh leaving the field. He was, I think, if he would have stayed on the field, it would have made the difference. Just out of dummy half, but I think he got a bit of a head knock and had to come off, which was probably our downfall. Yeah, we lost a bit of our way when PJ went off the field.
Yeah.
And look, to the Roosters' credit, they had some great players in their side as well. They had one of the best in the world, Brad Miller, and they had a great forward pack. They had everything that we had, but they just had a bit more patience and they were a bit more calm on the day.
They were a great defensive side. Out of all the sides you came up against in the grand final, I wished it wasn't the Roosters because their defense was always so bulletproof during that season. But you guys had the attack to take them apart, but they just keep turning up. And they had Craig Wing, Brad Fittler, and Brett Mullins in their spine. Brett Mullins was actually on the wing. It was Luke Phillips at fullback. But it's pretty handy players.
They had an amazing side as well. It was two great sides. We didn't, even though we lost, it wasn't a disappointment. It wasn't a shellacking. We still fought to the end, but it was just not the way I pictured it. I thought we would win, and I'm still upset about it.
Speaking of you being upset, half time, tape recorder gate, we're going to call it. I want to know what happened at halftime. This tape recording, like
Oh,
everyone wants to know about it. Like,
we
come
found
on.
out the truth over like many years of telling the story, but I always blamed Ando for making up this mock commentary, but it wasn't Ando. It was management higher up than Ando that thought it might be a good idea to motivate us. But I don't think it had a bearing on the game, but it was just not the time and place for what happened. I won't go into to tell you the truth. It'll put a glass eye to sleep. But yeah, it was just one of those things that you just don't expect it in a grand final at
Yeah, it's
halftime.
pretty odd. I will ask one question. Did you kick the shit out of that tape recorder? Please tell me you did.
I threw it. I don't know where it ended up, but I threw it. No worry. I had to try and refocus everyone.
Oh
But
my
we
God.
did come out and score that try, so it must have worked at some capacity.
Mate, it's just the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. Honestly, it's just bizarre. Oh, brilliant stuff. Okay, so you moved on to the Cowboys. Like, when did you decide that you were going to move on to the Cowboys during the season, and why did you leave the Warriors?
Oh look, I didn't want to leave the Warriors. They just didn't offer me a contract, which
Really?
which I thought was pretty ordinary to tell you the truth.
I didn't know
I
that.
was playing some good footy, and I thought I deserved a contract, but we never negotiated a contract. So
Yeah.
they were obviously they thought my time had passed, and there was players up and coming that could step up, and which there were. There were some good players up and coming, and yeah. But look, I was fortunate enough to get a contract with because I didn't want to go overseas.
Yeah.
I'd been through all that. And it was a bit of a homecoming for me going back to North Queensland because that's where I'm from.
Yes.
It was an opportunity to go take my kids over to spend some time with their grandparents, and yeah, it was. We really enjoyed Townsville. It was a great town, a great city. It was hot. It was very hot, but yeah, the people are lovely. They're a lot like New Zealanders. They're very welcoming, especially the more you go north, the better they are.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love my time there. It was, and we started to have success while I was there, which was great. It was great for me and the club. Yeah.
Nice. So, how did that actually come about? Like, did they contact you? Did you contact them? Or
Well, I was talking about my mate Glenn Murphy, who I was going to be best man at his wedding. So he was the head trainer
ah,
up there, and I rang him just to test the water, see if they were interested in me
okay,
coming up there. So um, I think Graham Murray and Peter Parr then flew over to watch one of the games that I was playing. I went and had a meeting with them. I think it was after the Broncos game, to tell you the truth.
okay,
The Webke incident,
yep,
and yeah, it sort of just kicked off from there. It sort of it was funny. When I actually got there, I was training under Billy Johnson, who was a renowned hard trainer.
yes, he
One of the
was.
hardest. Yeah. So one of the first sessions that I've done with Billy, we're doing a weight session, and he doesn't have it. Like it's 50 degrees outside, and it's
Oh,
like
stuff
70.
that.
It's 70 degrees inside because there's no air conditioning or anything like that. So
That
you walk into the
sucks.
gym, you start sweating. So I'm losing, and I dehydrate really quickly.
So,
Um, so I'm doing a like a cardio weight session, and there's a thing called the prone row where you lay down on the bench. You've got the bar underneath you, and you're pulling it up to the rack, taking it off
right.
the rack and pulling it up to the. I didn't have any weight. I was so exhausted. I didn't have any weight on the bar, and I couldn't get the bar off the rack to pick it up. So, and then all of a sudden, I was losing it. I started crawling outside, vomiting. And this is a
Oh
true
my
story.
God.
Vomiting on the way out, and Billy's
Unreal.
laughing at me. All the boys are just laughing because it's the norm there, and I'm
Yeah.
just going, what the hell is going on? So that's the norm, and I'm thinking, this is not the norm for me. I'm bloody retired. So I ring Kylie, my wife. I said, I don't think I'm going to stay here. I might just hang the boots up.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I stayed. I got used to Billy's training methods and how hard he was and how hot it was. It took me 12 months to get used to the weather.
Okay.
But after that 12 months, we started playing a really good brand of footy and started winning games. And then I think that was the first time we made the finals as well.
So that 2004, I think you guys made the finals, and that was your final season.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a pretty good side,
Yeah.
eh?
So
Like Paul Rauhihi in your forward pack.
yeah,
Kiwi
Bully
boy.
Rahi, we had a really good side. We similar to the Warriors, we stuck a young fella, Aaron Payne,
Oh yes,
into dummy half. Into
into
dummy
halfback. Yeah.
half. He was like a PJ Marsh. He was very skillful, fast, and just very creative around the ruck, and sort of changed our whole game. And then
Okay.
we had Matty Bowen. We had some
Yeah.
players like Matty. We had Paul Bowman playing there. We had some
Okay.
young kids coming through as well. Glenn
You have
Morrison
Josh
as well.
Hannay?
So we had Josh Yanni was playing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a real Ty Williams was the other winger. He's a
Oh
very good
yeah,
player.
very good
So
winger.
all these coming through had been there for a long time, but never tasted success. And I was saying there, about the culture of the club. Their culture was win, lose, or draw. They just go out to the Mad Cow and just get on it, free drinks. So that's what the culture was.
Okay.
And so it took me a year to sort of work it out. And then the second year, I'd had enough, and we lost our first game against Manly. We should have won it.
Okay.
We should have won it easily anyway. Anyway, we capitulated, and all the boys were talking in the shed about going out to the Mad Cow, and I just the volcano erupted, and I just sprayed everyone about what we were doing and where we could go if we put our minds to it. And you blokes are just worried about this, and this, and have a good look at yourselves. And yeah, so yeah, that was my spray anyway. It's sort of we got on a bit of a roll. We started gelling, we're a pretty good side. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we that year 2004 we made the prelims against. First time we made the finals, but we made the prelim against the Roosters to go into the grand final. We beat the Doggies
Sure.
in one of the first grand finals,
Yeah.
first semis, and then we played the Roosters to go into the grand final, and we lost
Wow.
on the bell 16-12 or something.
Oh, mate. I do remember
Yeah,
you
so
guys were definitely on the cusp back then. And then 2005, the club went one step further, made the grand final. Yeah. Pretty
yeah.
awesome that you're a part of that shift in their culture. A good old Campo spray. Yeah. Good.
No, that's good, mate. It was look, and I'm well received up in North Queensland because of my time there, and obviously well
Yep.
received at at the Warriors.
Yeah.
And obviously at the Broncos with time there. So I've had a pretty good career, even though didn't start. It started slowly, but if you persist and persist and persist, you finally get there. A lot of hard work into it.
Yeah, man. That's what life's all about. So you ended up at the
Yeah,
Warriors 2005 doing some coaching as like an assistant. How did that all come about?
yeah. I think Mick Watson approached me in 2004, just in my last season. He first approached me to because I was trying to sign Stevie Price. So I rang
Yes.
Price and just gave the club the biggest rap. Couldn't speak highly enough of it, and it'd be a great move for you to go over. You'll love the weather's not the best, but the community's fantastic. Auckland's a beautiful city to live in, and
Yep.
the people are just fantastic. So I convinced him to sign, and which was great. And then yeah, Mick just basically said, "Do you want to come over and be the defensive coach?" And I said, "I'd love to." Yeah, so it was great
Awesome.
experience. Yeah,
Well, I remember feeling great excitement with Ivan Cleary coming over. You had Tony Kemp, yourself, Stephen Price, Ruben Wiki signed. I think Todd Bernard signed, Nathan Feen. It was like a whole new start after the 2004 absolute train wreck of a season. And yeah, there was like great optimism going in, and you guys were really competitive pretty much all year.
Yeah, look, we were competitive. Look, yeah, we didn't, we didn't lose by too much, but yeah, we just, took us a year or so to gel as a
Yeah,
combinations, working out combinations. But we had some tremendous players there. It was, you know, 2005, 2006. I convinced Michael Luck to come over. I got Georgie
yes,
Gaddis over there as well,
that's right.
and I think they were two good signings for the club. And I know Michael Luck definitely was the type of player that the club needed. He was,
Yeah,
he was my roomie in 2004, and I just thought so highly of him that I think he deserved to be a starting player, and he
okay.
didn't disappoint me. Yeah, which was
No,
great.
played a grand final for the Warriors. Unbelievable. He's another one like yourself that goes down in Warriors folklore as an Australian signing. He's one of those ones like right up there with yourself, Steve Price.
Yeah, mate, and
Brent
a
Tate.
terrific
I
guy.
love Brent Tate. Amazing. Amazing player.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I got a few questions from the Facebook group. Paul Paulson wants to know who was the hardest or toughest player you ever came up against.
Oh, I would say the Jerry Susu. I'd say there was a couple. Jerry was tough, just hard. He'd look at you with that smile, that evil smile, and come straight at you. But Gordon Tallis was a lunatic. You didn't want to
Yeah.
mess with him. Brad Thorne was just big and strong and like a Brad Clyde type of
Yeah.
player.
Could run.
Back in the day, there was like players like Paul Harrigan, Johnny Lomax,
Yep.
Trevor Gilmore. So, you know,
The X.
the Axe.
Yeah.
There was a lot of the ones that could hit you hard were the ones that you didn't go near. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Awesome, awesome. Okay. Jerry Flynn, he wants to know out of today's current players, who is the one you'd least like to go 10 rounds with in a boxing ring?
um, they're so big these days. You know what I mean? Probably AFB.
Yeah. What about Nass from the
Mate,
Storm?
he scares me. Who? Who did you
Nelson
say?
Asofa Solomona.
Oh yeah, no, it's too big. You wouldn't get it. You
He's
wouldn't be able
just
to.
terrifying.
Wouldn't get. Wouldn't be able to get close enough. Yeah, look, there's some big. I like the tough forwards. I like uh, what's his name? Raddick. Is it Raddick? What's his name from the Roosters? I love him the way he plays. He's
Oh, Victor
just such a
Radley.
good. Victor Radley. He's just a
Yeah,
champion. I love him. I love Ruben Cotter is one of my favourites. Knowing him from Sarina, I think
yep.
he's got a great motor on him. I think he's a wonderful player.
He's got a great mullet.
But yeah, he's a rotten moral. Yeah, I don't know how his parents let him grow that.
Awesome. Okay. Tane Thompson wants to know what's your view on player welfare post retirement, especially things like mental health, neurological impairments, early onset dementia, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's important. I think it's more important to keep ex-players close to the game and surrounded with what they know. That
Yes.
some players, who play for, 3 or 4 years, you know, get moved on pretty quickly and forgotten about. I think the more they want to, the more that they stay around rugby league, the better for them, their mental health. Um, and the older players, they should be the first um, people that they should talk about. If there's any development officers that are needed at any club, that especially that the ones that they've finished at or they played the longest at, that they should go straight into roles just to keep them in the game.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I got three fun questions to finish with. Who's going to win the comp in 2024?
Oh, look, if we played the way we played last year, I'm talking about the Warriors. I think we're uh, just with that experience that we had in the finals. I think we could go one better. Um, you know, you look at Melbourne last week beating Penrith. I thought that was an upset. I thought Penrith would win that game, but Penrith are a team that you can't never sort of knock. I think they're still my number one pick. You have to beat if you're gonna if you need to beat a team. If you're going to beat a team in the grand final, it's going to be Penrith.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so what's your favourite TV show of all time?
Of all time, Seinfeld is my favourite.
Hey, yeah, you're number two. Paul Carriage said the same. And my last question: if you were on death row, what would your final meal be?
My final meal on death row, God. Oh, look, I used to love Mum's corned beef on a Sunday afternoon with cabbage, potato in the jacket.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my death row meal, just to know I'm going out on a good note and with a fond memory.
I love a dirty old corned beef. They're amazing, aren't they? They're great.
Oh yeah, you can't beat it.
So good. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and going back in the day with me. It's been absolutely a privilege for me to meet you, to be fair, and I really do thank you for your time.
No, my pleasure, mate. It's been a great experience. It was so easy to deal with you, and yeah, appreciate it. I want to say hello to all the Wars fans over in New Zealand. Hopefully, we'll see each other soon.
How awesome, man. Thanks again. So thank you to everyone for watching. Make sure you get on the Facebook group. Kevin Campion's in the group. How good's that? Point of Difference Rugby League. Go find it on Facebook. Join the group. And subscribe to the YouTube, the Spotify, all of that jazz. And let's keep promoting the legends of the game like Kevin Campion. And it's so great to hear all the stories, man. So thank you so much for your time in the Warriors jersey, especially. Everybody just loves you, man. Honestly, you're a legend.
Thanks, Davey.
No worries. All right, everyone, we're out of here.
You,
we'll see you next time for
Keep in touch.
Full time.